Yo, and we have another video for you guys. And this time it's about the Fugees rapper Pras Michel, sentenced to 14 years in prison for illegal lobbying. That is crazy. 14 years. They say this guy has cancer as well, which is a shame. I mean, it's really sad to have cancer in any time in your life, but to have cancer at a time where you're going to prison, that's the worst. So ex-Fugees musician Pras Michel has been sentenced to 14 years in prison for using money to peddle influence in US politics. US prosecutors had recommended a life sentence for the Grammy Award winner after he was found guilty of corruption and other charges, including acting as an unregistered foreign agent and witness tampering in April 2023. Now, this is a sad fall from grace. U.S. District Judge Colleen Costello handed down the sentence in a Washington, D.C. court on Thursday. Michel, 53. Whoa. Wait, he's coming out. He's 50 now. 60 something, he'll be coming out of prison. Testified in his own defense during his trial, but declined to address the court on Thursday, the Associated Press report. His attorney said the sentence is completely disappropriate to the offense and that it will appeal. The musician, who was also found guilty of campaign finance violations and lying to banks, had been accused of bringing secret illegal foreign influence to bear between 2012 and 2017, spanning the time of Barack Obama and Donald Trump were in the White House. U.S. prosecutors said Michel received more than $100 million from Malaysian billionaire Jay Ho Low that was used in two efforts to influence U.S. politics. He was also convicted of lobbying on behalf of China's government. Prosecutors said Michel betrayed his country for money, and for nearly a decade he sought to exploit and deceive various entities in the US government, including the White House and FBI, as well as his own conspirators, according to the court documents. Michel lied unapologetically and unrelentingly to carry out his schemes, prosecutors said. His sentence should reflect the breadth and depth of his schemes, his indifference to the risks to his country, and the magnitude of his greed. They had recommended a life sentence in line with the federal guidelines. The trial saw testimony from Hollywood star Leonardo DiCaprio as well as former U.S. Attorney Jeff Sessions. Businessman Low, who funneled money to Michel, was accused of stealing about $4 billion from Malaysian sovereign wealth fund during an infamous 1MDB scandal. The Justice Department reached an agreement with the fugitive financier in June 2024 to return more than $100 million alleged embezzled from Malaysian state-owned wealth fund. Michel was accused of helping to lobby officials in the first Trump administration to abandon their investigation into Mr. Low part in it. Okay, Michael's defense attorney Peter Zeelenberg told the BBC that he believed the verdict was unsupported by the evidence and the sentence is completely... we read this before, why are they repeating themselves? There is no justification for Michel being singled out like this except for the penalty of opting for trial, he said. Michel co-defendant Elliot Brody was pardoned. George received 3 months in probation, and Nikki Loom Davis received 24 months, he said. He also noted that, well, it depends how much money they got from it. He also noted that possible violations of Foreign Agents Registration Act will no longer be prosecuted except for where espionage is involved, and that is no longer was alleged in Michel's case. Shortly after taking offense this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi issued a memorandum widely seen as narrowing the reach of a FORA, which requires people who work in the US on behalf of foreign interests to regularly give the Justice Department information about whose relationship and activities. Justice Department would only prosecute instances of alleged conduct similar to more traditional espionage by foreign government actors, such she wrote. I mean, this guy was lobbying on behalf of foreign countries, and he was lining his pockets. And you have to think about how far you must have fallen from grace to be doing this. Like, just think about how much money he must have made from the Fugees. And you know it's all a mirage. Like, hip hop doesn't pay anything. I mean, back in the days when he was doing hip hop, it was paying good. It was paying good, but when it comes to a point where people spend the money thinking the good times will never run out, and what happens is that you go from in the 90s, you're selling albums, singles, people are buying them because they had to buy them. And then you go straight into years like late 90s, 2000, people start evolving. People getting music, but then there's the internet coming up and people are able to download music. So then your album sales are going down, your singles are going down because people are illegally downloading your music. On top of that, people can just burn music. You can have someone who has a Fugees album and he'll be like, "Yo, I'll just burn it for you. Here you go." And then that's that done. You know, or they can just rip these MP3 files because early 2000s started to hear MP3 files popping in. So these guys thought the money would never run out. And when the money started running out, they're looking around like, whoa, we ain't popping no more. Ain't nobody listening to the Fugees anymore. Wyclef doesn't really talk to me much. You know? Lauryn Hill kind of sitting down doing not much. So Pras is sitting down there, man, I need to start release some songs. Release some songs, no one really cares for it. You know, because as a singular person, he can't do much. He ain't really... The whole group of the Fugees was the singular entity, and you got the Pras, Lauryn Hill, Wyclef. That's what made the Fugees. Him by himself, nobody cares. Lauryn Hill can just about care about Lauryn Hill. Wyclef, good producer. Is he really a good rapper? Nah, he's not really that great, but his production is great. You could see he's one of, he's not like a top producer in the world, but he can manifest a hit. Lauryn Hill, now there was a thing where Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, she got all these awards, and I remember like she went up there, got the awards, and there was like some sort of discrepancy about who wrote what song. So she was taking all the credit for writing certain songs that she never wrote. So then she kind of like got sued by a lot of people. So the album wasn't really her old album. The album was good, but there was a lot more people involved in the album than she actually never gave credit to. Would it be the Grammy speech, or just in as a whole? When you look at the cover, some of the writers, people who wrote, weren't credited. So the mirage of Lauryn Hill being this great artist kind of disappeared, and then you don't really hear much from her after that. Just kind of just faded away. You know, and as for Pras, you could tell that he weren't doing much. His money must have run out. He must have spent through that 90s Fugees money like nothing. You got people like T-Pain. He's saying he spent through his money, and T-Pain was everywhere. You know. And he said the money ran out. So his money must have ran out for Pras. And, you know, he thought, I can get into politics, start lobbying. But the way he did it, he's almost like a inside spy in his own country. He's a celebrity spy. He's spying on his own country, lobbying for China and stuff like. Come on, like, let's be real, man. You can't be doing these things. You cannot be doing these things in this day and age. And they paid him $100 million? Since when do you throw away your own... I don't know, what's the word for it? It's like, it's a little bit of dignity to you. And you just throw it all away for money. You know, money that you're going to spend on items. You know, what's it all worth? Like, you sit down there, you have a life, you have a reputation, and you ready to throw it away for a little bit of money. I mean, I guess $100 million is a lot. but I'd rather be poor and people look at me like an upstanding human being than be super rich and people look at me like dirt. Cause there ain't no point in being rich. You ain't gonna take the money with you to your grave. If I had $1 billion, I couldn't spend $1 billion. But some people do want the billion, and when they have it, they'll be like, okay, what can we buy with it? They'll buy all sorts of stupidness, and it will never fulfill them. You can buy a mansion, a Lamborghini, but you're never gonna be fulfilled. Once you get all this stuff, then you're sitting down there like, okay, I got the £100,000 watch, £1,000,000 watch, got the Bugatti car, got the Lamborghini. What now? And that ain't gonna cost you $1 billion, you know. So you reach that level of getting all what you need to get to, and you sold your soul for it. And this guy sold out his country for it. Should he get 15, 14 years? Nah. I think they should give him about 5 years, you know. But should it, you know, yeah, about 5. Because other people, they kind of got off scot-free. But it depends how famous they are. I ain't heard of those guys. I've heard of him. And when you are a celebrity, that's when the weight holds on you more because you got a reputation to uphold. He used his celebrity status to garner influence. That's where the problem lies. He should have known better. And as I said before, no one's reputation's worth that money, man. It's like, yeah, look, 100 million or 79 million that he embezzles from, you know. And the guy who's paying him was embezzling the money himself. It's greed on top of greed. But that's life for you, man. You know, you come across things that happen in the world, and you realize like how people get all the money that they've been getting too. How corrupt the world is. Like everything is like a web of corruption. Like I was thinking about the French political parties, and you know, and the ex-president, where the Libyan government was giving him money for his election campaign. But we didn't know that. But afterwards, it's like, you know, Gaddafi's son comes out like, whoa, I ain't got nothing to lose here now. We gave you bags of money. And now he's sitting in prison, but I think he got released recently. But you gotta look at everything like there's a lot of dodgy things going on. Everyone's buying influence. And you start seeing these oil deals pop out of nowhere, here and there. It's favors for favors. It's a world we live in that these things happen, but people don't know. Because we just the little people at the bottom. Up the top, in the spider's web, these are the people that are making the connections. But sometimes, you know, you get people who get found out. Anyway, like, subscribe, and I'm out.